Welcome to Broadcast 1, 2025 from the Mothership on Mystic Chakra. Disclosure from the other side, messages and information from beings in dimensions just a little bit higher than Earth. So these higher dimensional beings are always trickling down information and letting information out for anyone who's awake enough to pick it up. And they also pick up questions. So I'm going to start with some questions that they're aware that people want answered. The first one is one for someone in particular, and the answer is San Francisco. So whoever's seeing this, whoever had that question, your answer is San Francisco. Interestingly, the message that I've been bombarded with over the last 24 hours is San Francisco, San Francisco, San Francisco, San Francisco, San Francisco. Something weird is happening in San Francisco. Something is a little bit off there. Something will play out there this year. That's as much as I'm getting. What I would say is if you live in that area, or if you are in that area, stay vigilant as always. The other questions were about the little greys. The little greys are harmless. They have no ill intent. They are like little biological bots with consciousness, but they are a droid-like bot being, but there's no such thing as just a robot, if you know what I mean, in the higher dimension. So they do have consciousness. They are biological as well. So they are used by various races who themselves would not want to come into the density, lower vibration of Earth. So for some of them, that would be impossible. They're just way too many dimensions above where this planet is at the moment. And for most of them, they just don't want to. Like, this is abhorrent. So in terms of, that was the other question that is getting asked a lot around the place, are aliens, for want of a better word, high dimensional beings? Yes. The whole cosmos is full of high dimensional beings, like everything apart from Earth. It's not hard to get higher than Earth. Everything is above Earth in terms of dimensions. So yes, and we are all multi-dimensional beings. Earth is a multi-dimensional planet. Not going to go into that in this one, maybe a future broadcast. But yes, if you want to think of aliens in terms of dimensions, yes, they are higher dimensional beings, absolutely. So they don't want to come into this third density. It's just awful. It's abhorrent. So the little greys were designed specifically for that purpose. So you can send a little grey, and there are other creatures like little greys that are that combination biological bot with consciousness. You can send them into something like Earth, like third dimension, and you can send them in physically. More often, know that it's via portals. It's a little bit different, but you certainly can send them in physically, and you can send them onto other planets where you might not want to go. First up, you might want to check it out first before you get down there. So they're harmless. They mean no harm. They are used by the star races in scientific, benevolent, I should say, checking things out on Earth. Yeah, no harm. No harm from them whatsoever. They're quite gorgeous. Now, there are bigger greys, which could be human height, which would be like they're like a grey blue, so the larger greys. Now they are used by what I'm going to call the Malreps. So star races are not a B-grade horror movie, so you can't, I've said this a million times, you can't just take one star race and go, well, they're all good and they're all bad and they're all this and all they're all that. It's like me taking the most horrible, murderous or disgusting politician on Earth and saying, well, that's humans. Every human's like that. We're not, so everyone's different. We're very mixed. There's good and bad. In the higher dimensions, there is, for want of a better word, good and challenging. So there's not the extreme. There's not the level of evil that you get on Earth, say, and the level of monster that you get on Earth. So think of that when you think of reptilians. Some reptilians are absolutely amazing. They are so gorgeous, and you would pick them in a heartbeat over a lot of humans, I can tell you that now. So I'm going to refer to them as Malreps because their actual name starts with Mal, something that I can't pronounce, and my staff family just laugh every time I try and pronounce it. I have tried to pronounce it in other videos, so I'm not going to pronounce it anymore. I'm going to call them Malreps, so just think of them like malware. So if you want a bad guy, this is a hybrid reptilian that we're going to call a Malrep. So they are the ones that humans can be pretty, well, the human experiment on Earth can be pretty bad on its own because of the chimp factor that's in it, but the Malrep factor that can influence it and is in it to a little bit doesn't help things either. So they range from being cheeky, offensive, to like, okay, you're cheeky and offensive, but I tolerate you, but not, for a long period of time, to outright no, evil, like awful. So they have their own version of the greys, which is the taller, dark blue ones. If you come across one of them, and if you've had the good fortune to have one of them come through a portal, which I have, delightful. If you're a starseed, you're not going to probably encounter them as a human. You probably encounter them as a starseed, and your star family is going to sort that out for you pronto, which mine did, thank goodness. So they're skin crawling, so they're not to be trusted. So watch them, but they are larger ones. Now, they are the ones, interestingly enough, which are most in contact with our governments. Bless. So they feed them a lot of misinformation, or whatever the Malreps want our governments to sort of take on board or believe, that they're the ones that will do it. There was another question, and this feeds into another question about the craft that we have, that we've reverse engineered. We are given very basic craft to reverse engineer. There's no accidents, there's no crashes. If we've been given the craft to reverse engineer, it's because they're happy for us to reverse engineer that craft, and there might even be a reason for us to reverse engineer that craft that we're not aware of yet. I'm going to leave that as that. So the sooner disclosure happens, the safer it is for all of us, because it's not just going to be certain people in the government who may not be able, like, know your aliens, know your reptilians. They may not be able to tell one from the other and a good from a challenging one, because they're not opening up the conversation to the people with all the knowledge. So while they continue to discredit people with actual information, and while they keep it all under lids and keep only a few people who think they know what they're doing, it's actually, they would be safer to disclose and let all the information come in. Now, another question to answer was about the Galactic Federation. So many people have started to get a bit sus of the Galactic Federation, I think, because one thing is the time that it's taking for disclosure to happen. They think that the Galactic Federation has something to do with that. And also, I think it's a lot to do with the content creation, unfortunately, around the Galactic Federation, which can be so sugary, sweet, new age, nonsensey, like, I know it's vomity. And anyone authentic and awake sees that sort of sugary, sweet stuff and goes, nah, that's not real. It's not. That is not the Galactic Federation, okay? The Galactic Federation is comprised of so many star races. The Anunnaki are on the Galactic Federation. Like, most star races have representation on the Galactic Federation. The Draco also will have conversations and negotiations with the Galactic Federation. So they're very open, they're very bureaucratic, they can be a little bit plotty, but they do have, this is their pet project, and they do have Earth's best intentions at heart. They have nothing but goodwill towards Earth, and they are not the sugary, sweet, new age nonsense that a lot of the content creation that you see about them is about. The other thing, another question that came up re the Galactic Federation and different star races was the glamour. So a lot of people are talking about the fact that the male reps can use a glamour to appear as, you know, very, very pretty and beautiful humans, or any kind of human, really. Now, that is not unique to the male reps. So Pleiadians, Nordics, tall whites all use glamour. Well, not all of them, but some of them will use glamour when they appear to humans. And that is not glamour being used in a bad way. It's just to reassure humans. Humans aren't that great with things that don't look like them. So, and humans have been manipulated to, you know, just, you know, like pretty things. So a lot of races have that ability and will use that glamour, but not necessarily in a bad way. Yes, there are some male reps disguising themselves in human form, absolutely, but I just want to make it absolutely clear, because I think the last thing we need is for people starting to think that any star race that uses a glamour is evil, because it's not the case. Some of them are using it to reassure you. However, there was an incident towards the end of last year, so the end of 2024, where it was discovered by the Anunnaki that some very clever little male reps had actually glamoured themselves on the Galactic Federation. I kid you not. So that's one of the dangers with a lot of star races using glamour, because the male reps are very good at it. So they were actually glamouring themselves as Pleiadians, who typically use a glamour. And the Galactic Federation is huge. Like, it's not just 30 star races in a room. There's so many, you know, beings present. So anyway, so the Anunnaki are pretty cluey when it comes to that sort of thing and picked up on it straight away. And I was fortunate enough to be able to witness that when that went down, in terms of when that was revealed to the Galactic Federation. So they're very much aware that happened, and it happened recently. So, and that's something that is going to, the Malrep are getting more and more brazen, as are the Earth monsters. So not every monster on Earth is a Malrep in disguise. A lot of them literally are just awful humans. Awful humans. Just horrible monsters. So, again, even though the Malreps can be really bad, they are not responsible for human behaviour in its totality by any stretch of the imagination. And one of the things that's shocking to some of the higher dimensional beings is that the Malreps have actually been shocked with how complicit some humans, can be and will be with their most diabolical things that they can imagine to dream up. So Malreps, from a higher perspective, Earth is temporary, it's a simulation, it's all an illusion. We're all going to graduate from it. We're not necessarily this time round, but at some stage. So they can sort of implement things where they think they won't do this, and humans do it. So they're surprised. And the higher dimensional beings are going, okay, so the Malreps are just surprised at the depravity that they can get the humans to behave. And that's saying something. So, you know, we need to check ourselves before we start blaming, you know, everyone else and everything else around us. The other question was about the simulation. So 2025 is going to be a year where more and more people see beyond the simulation, and I got given the most beautiful example of that. So people think of the pyramids of Giza lining up with the stars, but as it was communicated to me, actually those stars our whole night sky is a memory. It's a simulation, but it brings us comfort. But the stars in our simulation align with the energy points beyond the simulation. So start thinking beyond your night skies. Start thinking beyond what you can see. So pyramids are lining up with the stars are lining up with the energy points beyond the simulation, and the stars are part of the simulation. So think of that, which with everything that you're seeing now in the skies, that our night skies are part of the simulation. The energy points are beyond the simulation, and our stars are lining up with the energy points beyond the simulation. The other thing that they gave to me this year was we're going to have to communicate a lot more cryptically and in riddles, because they're going to discredit more than they disclose, or they're going to try to discredit more than they disclose. You've probably seen a lot of people in the space already sort of say, I'm going to pull back, maybe a little bit. I've been very circumspect in terms of what the specific entities and star races that I talk about this time round, and that will continue. If you want to get more of an idea of that, you can look at any of my past videos on the website or TikTok or YouTube. But we're all going to have to be a little bit circumspect and a little bit careful in how we communicate going forward. So it's going to be more cryptic. It's going to be more in riddles, but the Anunnaki love riddles. So they always leave me with the best riddles, which is part of my training and development, if you will, from their perspective, which is amazing. So one of the riddles that they left me with recently, which they've told me to share and open it up to everyone, because while the rockiness and bumpiness of 2025 plays out, it's good to focus our minds on something of a higher dimension, and something that will unlock mysteries and truth. So Anunnaki, if you're an Anunnaki starseed, they are all about fire and mysteries and truth and knowledge, and they're just like the masters of knowledge and genetics. They are a master race amongst the star races. They don't do warm and fuzzy. Highly intelligent. And when I say they don't do warm and fuzzy, but they do pure love, which is not warm and fuzzy at all. But anyway, a riddle from the Anunnaki. The Sphinx is a dragon. Figure that one out. I'll leave it there. Good luck with the riddle. Let me know what you come up with. Blessings.